Hello students, today's video lecture is meant for BA Part 2 students belonging to English literature. We are going to discuss an Indian writer writing English, A.K. Ramanujan, who is prescribed in your syllabus. The poem we are going to discuss today is Obituary. First, let us define what is an obituary. Obituary means a death notice which includes an account of the life, career, and achievements of the dead person, published in newspaper or any other article. Here in this poem, Ramanujan remembers his dead father and the legacy left by his father behind him. The subject matter of the poem can be narrated that the poem dwells on the death of poet's father like many other poems. This poem is also steeped in nostalgia. That means remembering the past. There are many personal and autobiographical references in this poem. When the poet's father died, he left behind him no legacy but dust on a table full of papers, debts to be repaid, and daughters to be married off, and a bed, wet, waiting grandson, and a decaying house. The house was not in a very good condition. It was leaning on a bent coconut tree in the yard. This is how Ramanujan describes the domestic responsibilities left behind his father. The father left them his ashes, which included 2 coins with which his eyes were closed, and several spinal discs, charred but not fully burnt out. His father's dead body burnt properly at the cremation because he was a burning type while alive. His ashes were immersed into the pious confluence of 3 rivers near the railway station in the midst of recitation of mantras, chants. The poet tells us that his father was born after a cesarean operation in a slum where poor Brahmins lived, and he died of heart failure in the fruit market. The death of Ramanujan's father was reported in an inside column in a Madras newspaper. Such newspapers are sold by weight to street hawkers after a month. Then they are sold to small groceries who sell salt, spices, and jaggery in newspaper cons. The poet used to read such odd waste papers just for fun, but later on in the hope of finding these obituary lines. The poet's widowed mother gave up all colored clothes, jewelry, and vermilion marks on the forehead and in the parting of her hair. She was a changed woman who adopted simple white clothes. The father's death also entailed the performance of some annual rituals like Sraddh by the hair. The beauty of the poem lies that this poem is mainly descriptive in character, neither reflective nor meditative. The situation and the obligations after the death of the poet's father are described dispassionately into this poem. The poem is free from hackneyed phrases and poetic tricks. The details of his father's life and the death have been presented candidly and realistically. Ramanujan does not mince words in portraying the true picture of his father. He tells us about the possessions and the obligations of his father. His father was not a rich man, was under debt. He was educated as he kept a table full of papers. He was born after a caesarean operation in a slum and died of heart failure in the fruit market. The poet tells us about this religious rites emerging, the ashes and the confluence of the three rivers, and then one annual sraddh to be performed. The widowed mother was changed completely. The word changed is very meaningful, thus, this poem is a moving personal document of the poet. The Hindu heritage is an important theme in Ramanujan's poetry. The language that he uses in this poem is simple. He always chooses right and appropriate words. His imagery is always particular, precise, and concrete. His imagery in obituary is vivid and realistic, and we feel that it is as is expected in his family poems. Further, you can elaborate the theme and the language part, quoting lines from the text itself. The more you base your illustrations, description, explanation on original verse, quotations from the poem itself, the more exact and you can get more marks in examination. Thank you very much.